Shalom, Yasha'Allah. First and foremost, I'm going to get all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakah Kwadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders, a great millstone who grew well. And peace and blessings to the hopeful elect that pushes great gospel and sincerity and truth. Bishop Brother Tazakai Yahweh from the great millstone, Cincinnati camp. Coming at you another lesson through the spirit and the power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. And Lord willing, this lesson be edifying. We got an article here from it says it's World Socialist website.com, and it reads the World Health Organization, or the WHO, Salakia, or the WHO warns of war, famine, pestilence, and death. And this article came out June 30th, 2022, the year Yahweh Bashim Shai turning up. It's it's a little lengthy article, but definitely edifying information in it. So, bear with me. It reads: leaders of the WHO have issued their most dire warning about the confluence of crises facing humanity, including pandemics, the impact of the war in Ukraine on global food supplies, and the danger of widespread malnutrition and starvation. So, it reads, Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, the director general of the WHO, noted in his opening remarks at the organization's Wednesday press conference that crown cases have been steadily climbing for the last 4 weeks, with almost 4.5 million new, a week beginning June 20th, a more than 21% jump in new cases from the preceding week. The latest wave is being driven by the highly, contagious and immune invading, those types of that, that's coming out. Salaki, you gotta be you gotta be subtle in things you say, because one correct word that you pronunciate as is you learn and what you're taught to speak, you get flagged for it. So just bear with me. It's a global crown deaths also edged up this week, climbing over 9,000, a 7.4% weekly rise. The 3 affected WHO regions where deaths are climbing include the Americas, Europe, and Western Pacific. Regions where official policy is to accept the flavor as endemic. He cautioned our ability to track the virus is under threat as reporting and genomic sequences are declining, meaning it is harder to track Omarion and analyze future emerging, flavors. So it says the WHO Director General also underscored the persistence and Vicky inequity that plagues efforts even still. As his colleague, Dr. Mike Ryan, who's Executive Director for Health Emergency Program, remarked later in the conference with his usual dry sarcasm, we get an A for innovation, but an F for fairness. Notably, mid-year 2022 has been established as the WHO's target date to have every country, 70% of its population, though globally, 75% of health workers and those over 60 have got Vicky. Hundreds of millions of people, including the elderly and healthcare personnel in lower income countries, still face the prospect of future waves of, such things while they remain Vicky. Only 58 countries have hit the WHO target, while the average vaccination rate among low-income countries is an appalling 13%. Director General G also informed the press he had attended the G7 summit in Germany, briefing the leaders on the array of urgent issues, specifically underscoring his concerns over sustained transmissions of the Curious George across the globe. The global food crisis that has its worst impact on over 23 million people in the Horn of Africa, and the global implications of the attack on the democratic rights of women signaled by the U.S. Supreme Court repealing Roe v. Wade, whatever. The Director General did not elaborate on the outcome of these discussions. Now, mind you, How we have, we as us in the know, certain things haven't been talked about as much. Going to like the Crown and even in the war over there, a lot of these things have took the back seat, so to speak. But as I said before, just because something take the back seat, don't mean that it's still in the car. You get what I'm saying? That don't mean that it's still going. So while all these things are going down and happening around, hey, scripture say that we are not ignorant to Satan's devices. But if let's Satan get advantage of us, let Satan get advantage of us. We are not ignorant unto Satan's devices, roughly paraphrasing, because why we understand that all these things are pertaining to prophecy. And we understand that these people, the scripture say that the simple believe every word. They can easily sway the people. And remember, it don't even, like I said, it is some people like us in the truth and some other people out there who not in the truth that are aware of certain things. But as things always go, what? Majority rules. So a majority of the people in this stupor and they call for this and call for that, that's what the people are going to go for, right? Because they use something called the Hegelian dialect, right? Pressure from below, pressure from above. These people create the problem, right? And then what they do, they have a solution, or order out of chaos, order out of chaos. So what? They put these things out there and they wait for the pressure from below come, right? From the citizens and the low income and all this and that, middle class, whatever the case may be, just the citizens. When they voice their issues and their problems, then what? They come in from above, the governments, elites, all this and that. Then they come with their solution to the problem they created. So always keep in mind that these devils can always, pull a okey doke and just, hey, now crown back in the front seat, right? So you got to keep these things in mind. Going on to say is did I read that? Okay, say the Director General did not elaborate on the outcome of these discussions, nor did the press ask any follow-up questions about the summit and any commitments about the G7. There were none of any substance to address the pandemic and the convergence of social crises, which are causing massive disruptions to the everyday life of the world's population. Monkey business is the newest of the global threats, with 5,309 confirmed and suspected cases globally across 67 countries and territories. The 7-day moving average have been climbing steadily, having reached 300 new cases per day. Social media discussions amongst scientists have warned that, based on simple modeling, the world could see 100,000 cases by August and the first million by September if the spread continues unmedicated. Damn. But you see how fast they can move. All right, it's a data scientist Jay Weiland wrote on Twitter, "We are definitely in the unmitigated spread phase of this outbreak, which should follow consistent exponential spread for some time. It will be interesting to see if RT, or reproduction factor, slows down once it spreads beyond high risk demographics." Yeah, these demons up there. It's the epicenters of the current global outbreak remain Europe and and North America. They don't the EU, the beast, if you will, right? It said English had reported over 1,000 cases, followed by Germany with 969, and then Spain with 800. The case count in the U.S. has reached 351. Dr. G offered these explanatory remarks on the recent IHR Emergency Committee meeting on June 23rd, saying that on monkey on the monkey business, while the emergency committee did not advise that the current outbreak presents a PHEIC, or public health emergency of international concern, they acknowledged the emergency nature of this event and that controlling the further spread requires intense response efforts. They also advised that I should reconvene them quickly based on the evolving situation, which I will do. He continued, "I'm concerned about sustained transmission because it will suggest the VA is establishing itself and it could move into high risk groups, including children, the immunocompromised, and pregnant women. We are starting to see this with several children already, hit with it. Say you gotta be careful, remember. The WHO director clarified later that a proposal to declare the monkey business PHEIC immediately was defeated by a vote of 11-3, with the majority feeling that more data was required, but acknowledging the urgent concerns raised by the spread of. So here the thing is, right, and this how you can see what you can just see right now from reading that. You can see what's gonna go on. They're gonna be like, it ain't a big deal, ain't nothing to worry about, and then boom, now it's global pandemic everywhere, everywhere, just like they did with the crown. It was not, it's not such a big deal. We'll tackle it once we get to that point. It won't be so bad. Then what happened? Boom, spreading all out of control. Everybody had goddamn masks on for the past 2 years, bugged out. So hey, like I said, not just say use devices. It says the Biden administration said this week that the Department of Health and Human Services will make 56,000 Vickies against smallpox available immediately, with another 300,000 in coming weeks. This figure is expected to rise to a total of 1.6 million Vickies given as two doses for 4 weeks apart. The plan is to direct these vaccines to those with confirmed, you know, or presumed to have been exposed. The Director General did not state when he would reconvene the emergency committee, but some of the following conditions would trigger reassessment: increased growth rate over the next 3 weeks, cases identified among sex workers or vulnerable groups, in the immunocompromised, HIV infected, pregnant women, and children, increase in severity or lethality. Yeah, I think that's how I say it. It's like evidence of spread back into animals, and evidence of different clades or lineages with higher violence detected outside of endemic regions. One of the major concerns raised at the WHO press conference involved the international crisis caused by the disruption of supply chains, inflationary pressures that are driving food prices, and food shortages that are rapidly leading to, you know, mass starvation across large regions of the world. These are being exacerbated by the global climate that has been unprecedented drought to many areas. Dr. G warned the food crisis across the globe are leading to millions of people missing meals and going hungry. This is having a major physical and mental health repercussions. Lack of food and nutrition weakens people's immune system. It puts them more at risk of disease. Now they act like they care, but they really don't. Children that are undernourished are at a higher risk of death from pneumonia and diarrhea, diseases, and measles. Let's see a little more. Yeah, we fire through that. Slocky, like I said, got a lot in there. It's a Max Lawson, head of inequality policy at Oxfam, said of the G7's failure to address the hunger crisis. The G7 says themselves that 323 million people are on the brink of starvation. Right, and I had did lessons on that, months ago. The figures actually went up a few million. It says they're on the brink of starvation, so they're on the brink of I'm dying, I'm hungry, need something to eat. They're on the brink of that, not about to be. It says millions of people are on the brink of starvation because of the current crisis. The U.S. NATO-led war with Russia, a new record high. Nearly a billion people, 950 million, are projected to be hungry in 2022. Right, I went over that too as well. We need at least 28.5 billion more from the G7 to finance. Damn, what? Oh, dollars, Slovakia. Well, I thought I was like, damn, that many people. Not that many, but it's more Slovakia. We need at least $28.5 billion more from the G7 to finance food and agricultural investments to end hunger and fill the huge gap in the UN humanitarian appeals. The $4.5 billion the G7 announced is a fraction of what is needed. Additionally, the Global Humanitarian Appeal Fund is short $37 billion, which it's just madness, just think about all the billionaires that exist in the world. But hey, it's the wicked for you. So it says he added the G7 wants us to think crown is over and the ongoing global health crisis doesn't exist. Tell that to the many millions yet to have a single Vicky and the many still dying from this cruel disease. There are presently over 23 million people who need immediate assistance and support in Ethiopia, Somalia, Kenya, Sudan, and South Sudan, who have faced 2 years of alarming failed rainy seasons. Estimates place the number of livestock lost in the millions in a region where agriculture and farmer are the main economic lifeline for the population, not counting the livestock that's being killed at these farms and these various places. And it caught on fire and 10,000 this died, and these it's too hot, they died. So not counting all that as well. We just add that to the pile. It's a Amina Abdullah, concerned worldwide regional director for the Horn of Africa and the social development specialist, noted that an estimated 5 million children in the region are malnourished, with 1.6 million experiencing severe malnutrition. She said, without an urgent response and scaling up of the humanitarian support, we risk 350,000 of these children dying. Peter Sands, executive director of the Global Funds to Fight AIDS, Tuberculosis, and Malaria, told Agents France Press, "I think we probably already begun our next health crisis. It's not a new pathogen, but it means people who are poorly nourished will be more vulnerable to the existing diseases. I think the combined impact of infectious diseases and the food shortages and the energy crisis, we could be talking about millions of extra deaths because of this. Indeed, worldwide measles cases have nearly doubled since last year. For the first time in a decade, the WHO has reported a rise in deaths associated with tuberculosis. So all these things are coming to pass, all these plagues. Thank you, how about you, my shot, Sydney. It says the Director General ended his opening remarks on the issue of the U.S. Supreme Court's reversal of the Roe versus Wade. Oh my gosh, I'm tired of hearing about this. It says decision that gave women the right to an abortion. He said, "I want to reaffirm the WHO's position. All women should have the right to choose when it comes to their bodies and health. Full stop. Safe abortion is health care, because to hell with the ways of Yahweh Shemel Shai, to hell what he wants, right? To hell with him saying, be fruitful and multiply in these people's minds. That's why the scriptures say that the Most High is not all in their thoughts. He sees that they cast his instruction behind them, right? This is the wicked. Esau, even the so-called white man. That's why they speak and say stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Oh, they cool with abortion. That's why they also call it what? Because the first case that we understand about abortion was what? During the time of Pharaoh in ancient Egypt. We was captives there. That's why you're here in spiritual Egypt, New Egypt, right? Under Pharaoh again. They okay with that. Kill your baby, And who leads that? Jake women. It says safe abortion is health care. It saves lives. How? Now what? So to save a life, you kill one, yeah. This is bad. It saves lives, but abortion is going through the process of killing a life. People are stupid. It says restricting this drives women and girls towards unsafe abortions, resulting in complications, even death. Well, they won't have to worry about it if they didn't do it, right? The child didn't commit. Whatever y'all want to call it, they want to talk about rape and all this and that. The child didn't do anything, and ultimately, it's the spirit of Yahweh Shemashah that want these things to happen, right? Then he put the spirit on you to do that wickedness as well. To what? Later on, judge you if you don't repent. Right? It says the evidence is irrefutable. Without a doubt, besides the poor working class women in America who will be denied these fundamental rights. Oh. What's it? Clandestine college industries will quickly emerge to offer dangerous procedures that can have severe consequences. Infections, sterility, which they're already doing that when you're taking the punch. It says death, criminal prosecution, and the right-wing ban will embolden fascistic and bigoted elements throughout the world. So there you have it. Like I said, Salaki is a little ride with it, but I felt like it was a lot of edifying information that came out of this article. And hey, most of our people, what they do when they want to hide something from you, but put it in paper, put it on text, because people don't like to read. Well, brothers in my camp know that I definitely love to read, a little inside. But yeah, so pretty much that was it. The WHO warns of war, famine, pestilence, and death. But first and foremost, right? Who's been warning you about these things? Right? It's been the prophets of Yahweh Shemel Shai. As the scriptures say, Salakia. This is Jeremiah chapter 28, verse 8. Okay, Salakia, verse 7. Nevertheless, hold on. I'm going to keep going up. Verse 7. Nevertheless, hear thou now this word, that I speak in thine ears and in the ears of all the people. Right? And we understand that Yahweh Shemashai speaks through who? His prophets, his men. The prophets that have been before me and before the old. Because remember, this is Jeremiah speaking, right? And we come back in the state of Jeremiah as the prophets. The spirits of the prophets are subjects of the prophets, Lord willing. I'll be at that number and, like-minded brothers as well. But, hey, to the spirit, hey, I believe, Jeremiah here right now prophesying. But it goes on to say the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old, both. Slakia, of old prophesying both. And they say, what? Against. So the prophet's not for your side. They're not for your part. The prophets are on the part of Yahweh Shemashah. They are not on the part of these various nations who had us in captivity. And then in another cases too, the prophets are not for the part of you 2/3 because you don't want to hear the words of Yahweh Shemashah. Right? So the prophets are against these heathens in 2/3. Right? And let's say it prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence. And his prophets are scattered out throughout the four corners of the earth, prophesying against many countries, prophesying against those great kingdoms. And they say what? Of war and of evil and of pestilence, right? And some of the words I was using that title. Right? So the prophets, that's what the prophets do. Speak about these things. We say before what prophesy means to say before. We telling you these things in the spirit of Yahweh Shai, what's going to happen before it do, so that you may get right or that you may take heed, so that when those things come to pass, you may be reserved by being obedient to Yahweh Shai. But we know for majority of the people of the world, primarily, our people, the 2/3, and to hell with the heathens, they're not going to take heed, so they're going to get caught up in it. Right? So over here, we're going to go into Revelation chapter 6. I don't want to make it too long. Definitely a long reading there. So like I said again, just bear with me. We at the good part now. This is Revelation chapter 6. We're gonna start at verse 1. The first seal, ride on a white horse. And I saw when the Lamb, right, and we know who the Lamb is, Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, opened one of the seals because he was found worthy to open the seals of the book. He was the only one. Right, and we understand that pretty much the seal, meaning what the proper wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the scriptures was sealed up until he, loosened them up. I think it said that was found worthy. The scripture said that was found worthy to unloosen the seals. So the only one that was worthy to do that was Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. Right, and it says so that's how we have to understand it, to break down these prophecies through what the spirit of Yahweh Shai, because. Well, we're going to get to that real quick. A precept to that. It says, and I heard there was a noise of thunder when the four beasts saying, come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, right? So that white going into purity. Horse goes into power, right? But ultimately, that's a chariot that Yahweh Shai HaMashiach going to be riding on, like I said, he's going to come back on so-called, UFOs. And he that sat on him had a bow, and the crown was given to him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. Yes, the Savior, who y'all call Jesus, this and that, but the Savior, his true name, Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, he is coming back to conquer. Do you not know? Let's get this real quick. Salakia. Get a quick word. Oh, Salakia, wrong one. What does this word conquer mean? Because, people act like they ain't go to school and learn these things. Well, maybe you didn't. Maybe you didn't pay attention. So their prophets are here to, help you out.
Strong's G 3528. Nikao.
So Nikao, which means conquer, subdue, overcome, prevail, get the victory, to conquer, to carry off the victory, come off victorious, of a Mashiach, victorious over all his foes. Who was all his foes? We can start over there with the Psalms 83, but ultimately all the heathens, and who in this side? The 2/3 of Israel. Those are the foes of Yahweh Shai HaMashiach. Those are the foes of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. And we're going to get a quick precept. Revelation 19, which going back up that first point too. I'm not going to go too far. In verse 19, verse 10. And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, see thou doest not. I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahweh Shai. Worship Yahweh. For the testimony of Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy. So him unloosing those seals, pretty much unloosing, unleashing the understanding to the prophets, through his spirit. That's what if you're in the spirit of Yahweh Shai, that means what? You're in the spirit of prophecy. Saying before, going to these scriptures, going to these breakdowns, and making it plain upon tables to the hopeful elect. That's the spirit you have to be in, of prophecy, not being the spirit of strife, not being the spirit of having picnics and barbecues, saying? Nothing wrong with getting with the brothers doing stuff like that, but, not having that spirit of mirth, not having the spirit of a damn fashion show, you know what I'm saying? Not having the spirit of debating with people. No, the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai is what? The spirit of prophecy. To get into these scriptures and break them down, right? Verse 11. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse again, right? So, we talking about this chariot, right? Remember, white, purity, the horse means power. So, pure power that Yahweh Shai is coming in. And it says, and he that sat upon him was called faithful and true, right? Which is Yahweh Shai. And in righteousness, he doeth what? Judge and make war. Yes, he's coming back to make war. What do you do in war? You fight. It says to be victorious over his enemies. right? It say his eyes were as a flame of fire, on his head were many crowns. Why? Because he conquered all these kings. And he had a name written that no man knew but he himself, and we know the name. So Yahweh Shai is ultimately going, pretty much into his reputation. Like El Yeshua always going to his reputation, right? Because we know his name. They're on the name of the heaven whereby we may be saved. So for the people who want to say, well, they say it's another name. No, name is Yahweh Shai. He saves or he delivers, right? They say in his cloth, who was Salakia, he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood. Going back to Isaiah 63, he ain't gonna have actual blood on his garment, but that's just symbolizing the bloodshed that that's gonna accompany him when this war comes. It's gonna be a lot of bloodshed from him slaying and slaughtering his enemies. And this name is called the Word of Yahweh Bashim Shai. You know, and and pretty much we can fine, we can go down. It say, and the armies which were in heaven follow him upon white horses, right? These talking about the other holy angels, also with Michael, Uriel, Raphael, what I'm saying? They're gonna be coming as well. Oh, Gabriel as well, can't forget him. And it says, and the armies which were in heaven follow him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean, and out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, which you understand going to the concentrated laser beams when you get that in second so a good example is that 2 Kings 13, and then it says that, and that with it he should smite the nation. Yeah, he coming back to kill. He ain't come back here, and everybody can come up here if you want. No, he come back to kill people. He come back to the judge his enemies, put them to death, and he come back to save his elect. Right? And that he should smite the nation, and he should rule them with a rod of iron. Yeah, he gonna rule them. Ask me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance. Rulership is coming. Did they say in the other Nakao that said what? To subdue. He gonna subdue these nations underneath him, subject them under rule. They gonna be under his rule. Then other ours, Lord, when we be joint heirs, ultimately they're gonna be under rule of all of Israel. But starting with, the order of Yahweh, while Yahweh Shai, King David, gonna be that king over, Israel, underneath Yahweh Shai. Right? And they say he treadeth the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of the almighty power, right? Because that's what's going to be, just like you said, Isaiah 63. Tread at the wine press, going to be, smash y'all, going to mush y'all, going to, mush y'all like grapes. Blood going to be splattered everywhere, right? Death and destruction everywhere. And he have on this vesture on his thigh a name written, King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. And that's how Shai Mashiach is. So just, it's like, go too long in that, but that's just giving you pretty much saying pretty much a heads up as far as what's coming to pass and why he gonna be conquering. Gonna have a bow, which is a weapon of war, and a crown in his hand, because this is what he's gonna do. He's coming to conquer, right? It say the second seal of war, and when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, "Come and see." And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. See, key point. It says what? To take peace from the earth. So this person was given this power, this red power. This person is taking peace away from the earth. He's not bringing peace. He's taking it away from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given to him a great sword. Few clues. That read real quick. It's like real quick. Genesis chapter 25, verse 25. Verse 24. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb, and the first came out red, all hairy like a hairy garment, and they call his name Esau. So that red is going back to who? Esau, Edom. That's that red horse, right? And then it say a sword, and he was given to a great sword. Genesis 27, verse 30. We could start at verse 38. And Esau said to his father, Hast thou but one blessed, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered, said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth and the dew of the heaven from above. And we see that right now today. Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, they got all the best places in the earth to live. They got everything. That's that going. They got they got rulership. Earth's given to the head of the wicked. So guess what? They have everything. All the fabulous best lands, the best places. They got all that, right? Via to this prophecy, right? But they got it all. What? Wickedness. Killing people. rape, robbery, and murder. Saying injuries, unrighteousness and wicked. Just all every let's say riches get gotten by the sea. That's how they did this the wrong way. But here's the point. And by thy sword, by thy sword shalt thou live. Right. That's why this devil only knows to do what kill, 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 destroy, and shall serve thy brother, and it shall come to pass. Right. Because we had them. So King David has to do them, underneath us, for a time period, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt have dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. One of the descendants, the kings of Judah. I don't want to wing it or guess it, but could have been during the time of Zedekiah or even before that. But we understand that the Esau Edom had broke free from that bondage, especially during the time when the Babylonians was coming against us. So they had broke free. That's when they broke their yoke from off their neck. And ever since then, what they've been, once they came up into power and up into pretty much these latter times, they are that red power that's ruling right. They that red horse who was given that sword that's ruling that who taking peace from the earth. Right? It says, and then also how another way, how they kill one another. Well, look at these world wars and all the wars that they even been in. With Esau Edom being the forerunner of it. Right? Kill one another. That's all they do. That's all they know. Right? Verse 5, it say, and when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, come and see, and behold, and lo, a black horse. And he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. Now we understand that the balances, one point go into what? Judgment, which the judgment that we, pretty much what been cast upon us, because we go into the balances, it goes into zugos, which goes into yoke, which ultimately symbolizes what? Slavery. That's what that symbolized, going to that black horse. Right, and it say, and I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. Right, because ultimately when you go into that, saying, even what's going on right now, you got like inflation and stuff and confusion and stuff and pretty much destruction of economies. Going to that, with the measure of wheat for a penny, like I said, and 3 measures of barley for a penny. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, pretty much going to like that's in the. Going to like second when they talk about victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth, and that people should think themselves to be in a good case, but even then shall evil grow upon the earth. Sword, famine, death, and destruction, and confusion. I believe go into that. So that goes into that as well. And it says and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine, which ultimately goes into what? The truth, because that's not going to be heard. That's what's flourishing and prospering right now through the men of Yahweh Shema Shai. And then dropping and going down right here at Salakia. I want to get that precept, but it's cool. I may go to it. It say for the measure of wheat, but it say and when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard of the voice of the fourth beast say, come and see. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse. And his name that sat on him was Death. And that's what's coming to this place. Death. And hell follow with him, right? And we understand, hell goes to this conditions and, conditions and, ultimately the grave. But, conditions played out here on earth. A horrible, hard, a perilous, bad time coming. Ultimately, like I said, death in itself is coming. And power is given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, which that fourth part of the earth will go to, ultimately Esau, to kill with the sword and with hunger and with death and with the beasts of the earth. Now, ultimately, what's coming to pass in regards to that is going to come to the whole entire earth, right? But we understand that Esau definitely going to get dealt with from the wickedness that they have produced in the whole entire earth. And a precept to this real quick. Get to the point. Jeremiah 15:2. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt say unto thee, whither shall we go forth? Then thou shalt tell them, thus saith the Lord Yahweh by Shema Shai, such as are for death to death, and such as are for the sword to the sword, and such as are for the famine to the famine, and such as are for the captivity to the captivity. These are the things that are going to come to pass upon the earth. And this was told to who? To the 2/3. So the Lord going to do this to the 2/3, going to do this to his people, right? Then how much more? Well, what the hell you think gonna happen to the heathens? They ain't gonna get no free pass. Oh, y'all good, but I'm gonna kill my people, destroy them. No, they gonna get it too. This is what's coming to the entire earth. And I will appoint over them four kinds, saith Yahweh Shema Shai. The sword to slay, and the dogs to tear, and the fowls of the heaven, and the beasts of the earth to do what? To devour and destroy. So these are the said judgments that's coming. So in regards to that pale horse that's coming with, that's going to be sent to the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai to judge this place. And it says, now going back, I believe that's it. I'm going to Genesis, lock it. Revelation chapter 6. So I went, of course, I went to this chapter because that's ultimately what the article, war, pestilence, famine, death, all that, this is funny how, this ultimately lined up, but they really think that there's actual four horsemen coming. One gonna be red, and this and that. And they gonna, how they make their images, they be bugged out, what I mean. But I want to see something really quick. Okay, that was it. But yeah, other than that, so that these are all the things that's coming to the earth, and it's gonna come in a great way. And what I want to finish is off is right here, precept just to all that ultimately. This is Second Ezra chapter 16. Really, um, I'll just take it down to 22. 17 say, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days, right? This is a man of the Lord. This is Ezra. He's seeing the things that's coming to pass, and it's horrible. Ultimately, it's a bad time. Evil. It's not nothing good is happening. It's so bad that he like, damn, who gonna deliver me? You know what I'm saying? That's how bad it is. Right? Verse 18, it says the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, right? The beginnings of these, the beginnings of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, and all these things are happening. You can look it up right now. Hey, sorrow's been going on ever since the whole earth been in sorrows anyway, since this man has been in power. But even so more, it has been an uptick in that sorrow, and especially with the whole crown popping off and now all these other plagues that Yahweh Shemashai sent there. You definitely see the sorrow in the mornings. People, they say the beginning of the famine, the great death, a lot of famine. Hey, it talks about a lot of supply chain disruptions, a lot of food shortages. We just read that a lot of people are on the verge of starvation. You got people that's malnourished. You know what I'm saying? So famines are evident. Places, droughts happening, wildfires burning up crops, livestock dying, you name it, right? And great death. That's all gonna be accompanied. That's all gonna be that death, that final judgment that you're gonna receive through these said perils is death. And death happens every single day, right? It says, the power shall stand in fear, right? And they from the top of the chain, from the least all the way down to the lesser luminaries, everybody gonna stand in fear. So the power's gonna stand in fear. You know good and well that the common people gonna be in fear, bugging out, right? That's why it speaks about seditions and uprisings and uproars and insurrections that's gonna be happening in the scriptures via pertaining to what prophecy. It say the beginning of evils, right? Bad times. What shall I do when these evils shall come? So what shall you do when these evils shall come? Well, you need to be seeking the Lord while you may be found and call upon him while he is near right now. Before these evils do come, which we already in them, but it's going to continue to get worse and worse and worse. Scripture says the beginning of sorrows. So I mean, what? This is the beginning of sorrows. Hey, it continues. The show goes on, if you will, right? It say, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. These things are sent from Yahweh Shemashai as punishments, as corrections for your wickedness. But for all these things, they shall not turn from the wickedness. So when all these things come to pass, the inflations, let's say you got inflation, you got hyperinflation, you got these famines, death and destruction, plagues, earthquakes in diverse places, these storms in diverse places, ultimately all these things going on. They say, well, they should not turn for their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges, meaning they going to take it and be like, okay, whatever. It's over with now. We weathered the storm. Let's get back to party. Let's get back to our wickedness. That's the mindset of the people. But it say, behold, victual shall be so good cheap upon earth that they should think themselves to be in a good case, right? They think themselves to be in a good case. But just going back into, like, say, that measure of wheat and all this and that, you're not going to be in a good case. Because why? The price is going up. You know what I'm saying? Things going up. You know what I'm saying? It say what? And evils, and even then shall evils grow upon earth, sore, famine, and great confusion. And a lot of that confusion going to why gas prices going up, why this going up, why this happening, why this that. It's confusion. People's confused. They want answers. They want to know what's going on, but they're not gonna receive it because the only ones who gonna be sane in these times and have the answers to understand is the prophets and ultimately those who are subscribing to the truth. It's a piece of sincerity, and ultimately the prophets of Yahweh Shemel Shai, who've been set up to teach you those things. Those who have an ear, let them hear. But that's for everybody else. To hell with them. Good riddance, right? So it says, verse 22, for many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. So ultimately, death and destruction is coming. And the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them. Ain't nobody gonna comfort you. Ain't nobody gonna make you feel good. Ain't gonna be nobody there to hold you. And it's gonna be okay, baby. It's all good. Ain't gonna have that. You're gonna be hiding because the time's gonna be coming. Niggas gonna be trying to come get you. Probably come take your food, come eat you, kill you. You talking about some comfort? No, but you better, hey, get in survival mode, right? For the earth shall be wasted, and the city shall be cast down. Man, it's gonna be all out. Like I said, anarchy gonna go on, right? Economic collapses. All these things coming to not only Babylon the Great, but where to the rest of the entire world. All these things are coming to pass, right? And what? The prophets have been warning you. To hell, they talking about something. The who? No, the prophets of Yahweh Shemel Shai. Just like Jeremiah said, the prophets have been before me and before thee of old. Right? Lord won't not be of that number. Right? But it's definitely prophets that be before me. Right? By elders, by apostles, let's talk with apostles, elder bishops, elders, and like-minded brother who came in this thing before me. On down. And you brothers too that's tuning in and so forth and so on. But at the end of the day, it's Yahweh Shemel Shai bringing these things to pass. And it's Yahweh Shemel Shai stretching his hand out to you to come back via his men by telling you these said things are going to come to pass. But if you want to turn the shoulder and smack his hand away, well, guess what? When that day come, don't expect to be delivered. Right? So pretty much, yeah, that's ultimately all I got on that. Like I said, it was definitely a long article. I get a little long with it, but Lord willing, those who tune in and stick it through, hey, Lord willing, it's edifying unto thee. So I like to say, call halayim la, Allahayanawa, Yahweh Bashim Awashai, Bashim Kakudash, which is all praises to Yahweh Bashim Awashai. And also double honors to our apostles and elders, a great millstone, Ruel. And peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, brothers who's pushing this truth and sincerity, and also shalom, to, the various Akim, brothers and sisters who tune in and subscribe to the truth as a whole, following Yahweh Shemel Shai to the best of their ability. So hey, stay rooted, stay in this truth, stay in these, the scriptures, stay studying, stay in, being apt, to these lessons and just continue to get built up, until we get delivered out of here. And Lord will be able to elect. So again, we give all praise and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, the honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone, Ruel, and peace and blessings to the whole for that that's pushing the great gospel and sincerity and truth. Shalom, Yesha Allah, Abai, Babal.